I thought about it, and I don't even read Spanish. And right, so this Alex Ross painting was what really came in at a perfect time in my life, because I was really struggling a lot in, when you're the people of the book and you can't read, you tend to not be at the top of any sort of pile of anything. So so this thing just really, for some reason, spoke to me. And it's a picture of Bruce Wayne from behind, and he's not wearing a shirt, and the cape and cowl are on a stand over here next to him. And it's just him from behind, and he's, all big and jacked and everything, and he has his hand on his shoulder, and you see him looking over his shoulder, and you see his back is mutilated. He has like these bullet holes and scar marks and stab wounds and like all these things just all over his back, all healed. It's all scars, but just a crazy amount of them on his back. And you realize this is from, and you see on his face, and this is where Alex Ross is just a king. You see on his face, he has this thing that some people might miss if you've never had this feeling before. Some people might miss. Right? I'm sure Bensoussan has seen this on people. That's it. Yeah, that's the one right there. Very good. Some people might miss, which is this, he has this tiny little smirk. And people are so concentrating on the scars in the back, they don't see it sometimes. But he has this tiny little upturn where he's looking back at his back, and that little smirk is saying, yeah, I'm about to go out and do it again. None of that matters. Yeah, I can't feel anything. I'm beaten to heck, and I might not come back tonight alive. But that's the whole point. These are my battle scars. There was a very big Rav in Brooklyn. I still haven't had his permission to say the story, so I can't say his name. But there's a very big Rav in Brooklyn who went to Russia one time. And while in Russia, this is back in the day. It was back in the day of the Cold War and everything that was going on. And basically the KGB was running rampant. And the bris was illegal, and one of the things that were illegal, all religion was illegal. One of the things was illegal. He came right after this was over, and there were a bunch of rabbis that went to Russia to try to be makar of the people after following the fall of the Iron Curtain, all these things, and they went to try to bring some religion back in, and he has all these stories from it. You see people who sacrificed their lives and did so much for Judaism now are able to, to some capacity, are able to be religious. And he said they don't know what to do with themselves. And he went to a shul, and it was on Sukkot. This was right after Sukkot, it was Simchas Torah actually. And he went to the shul to help them, rile up the crowd and get everyone going. And it was Russia, so everyone's handing out bottles of vodka, and everyone's getting nice and warm and comfortable. At that time in Russia, I think it's below zero already, I don't know. I'm saying it was during the summer, so it's probably just below zero, just like right there. And everyone's around, people start dancing, and this rabbi's getting everyone involved. And he's a Kiruv rabbi, he's running around, he's like, come on, I'll give you alcohol, serve God, all happy. And everyone's getting involved, and he sees this one huge guy in the back of the room, and this guy's just sitting there, and he's just stoic, just a face of stone, just sitting there by his table, with a chumash or a sitter, something small open in front of him, and he's not moving. So he sees the guy and he says, you know what? This is what I'm here for, right? This guy probably doesn't trust me. He thinks I'm a KGB agent. He thinks that I'm going to go get this guy involved. And he goes running up to him. 2 steps before him, the gabbai of the shul, who lives there, who's part of the community, grabs the rabbi, and he says to him, no. Go back that way now. There you go. And he's like, what's no? He's like, he needs Kedusha in his life, Rabbi. And he's like, no, that's, no. Sermonize over there. Don't go near him. And he's like, okay. Keeps going. Rabbi himself is drinking a little bit. And he says, nah, come on. The guy's a Jew, he's got a pintle yid, he's got a neshama, I gotta go get him. And he goes running to the back again, Gabbai grabs him. And he's like, just listen, everyone here is gonna kill you if you go near him. He's like, no, they all love me. He's like, yeah, sure they do. No, just go back up, don't, sure, fine. Sure enough, they pull out the Torahs, and everybody's jumping up and down. Everyone's jumping up and down. And he said one of the things that he was always very, it was interesting then, was that there were no children or women in the shul at that time. He said because everyone was still too afraid. Like just they had these things in their minds that they were just still too afraid to come. So it was just the men. And everyone's singing and dancing, and everyone's jumping, and everyone's jumping. Sure enough, he's at the bima, and he's cheering them on and screaming, and he's in the middle of doing a mipi kel or something, and he says, mipi kel, and no one answers. He has his talis over his head, and he's gone, right? And he's like, okay, maybe Moshe emes. No one's answering. And he flips up his thing, and he sees that Kriyas Yam Suf, right? Everyone parted ways. Everyone is standing against walls. He's like, the heck is that? Right, this is the time where you will expect Hitler to walk in, with the thing. And he's like, what's going on? And all of a sudden the old man, you see this big old man in the back stands up and he starts walking towards the front. He's like, oh, I think he's going to kill me. He looks like I'm going to die now, and that's going to be the end of my life, and he's just going to continue until the next rabbi comes. And, the horror movie started playing in his head. And the guy walks up, and he comes up, and with his big bare hands, he picks up the Sefer Torah. And he starts going like this, just shuckling, just back and forth. And everybody in the whole shul is completely quiet. And they're all shuckling. And then all of a sudden he starts a little tune. And everyone starts humming along. They're all still shuckling. And he starts jumping up and down. They all start jumping up and down. And he starts jumping up and down higher, and they all start jumping up and down higher. The tune gets louder. They're jumping higher. The tune gets louder. And he said the entire building was shaking from this guy. He said you had to see the control that he had over everyone in there. He said, I was so worried about that Sefer Torah, but I didn't dare pull it away from him. He said then he pulls open the Sefer. It was a Smarty Sefer Torah. He pulls open the Sefer Torah, and he shows it to the crowd. And everyone's cheering. Everyone's jumping. He puts it down on the bima. And he flips it around to face him. And he starts jumping up and down, and then he started a little dance back and forth where he started walking back and coming towards, walking back and coming towards. And everyone's going crazy, everyone's jumping. Out of nowhere, this guy turns his back to the Sefer Torah and he rips his shirt off. And the place goes wild. And the rabbi was like, what is wrong with these Russians? What in the world is going on here? The guy whips it off. He starts flinging it around and throws it into the crowd. And he's like, okay. And he starts coming around. He's like, this is going to have to stop. So he didn't look. He's coming around. Gabbai grabs him again. He's like, okay, listen. With the grabbing me, okay? First of all. Second of all, we have to stop this. He said, give it one more second. Just wait. And he's like, he's like, just wait one more second. And he sees the guy turn around, and he pulls off his undershirt, throws it into the crowd, and the rabbi stops dead in his tracks. And he sees this guy's back is mutilated. Just horrific scarring, like zigzag marks all over. And he stops and he looks and he's like, what is that? And the Gabbai says to him, this man, at the height of the power of the KGB, at the height of the power of the anti-Semitism in Russia, was a mohel. And his wife gave birth to a son. And the KGB found out, and they came to his house on the 8th day in the morning, and they walked in. And sure enough, there's this man and a group of 9 others, and he's holding this baby, and he has the knife ready, and he's about to make the cut. And they said, if you cut that child, we're going to kill you. And he smiled, he said the bracha, and he made the cut. They pulled him outside, and they beat him to what they thought was death. They left him dead in the street so that everyone can see what happens. They did not take into account that this man was a beast of a human being, apparently, and just would not die. And they said another minute, if they would have stuck around for another minute, the guy would have died. They left, we pulled him quickly inside. We happened to have had all this medical stuff ready because of the baby, and they patched him up, and it took months and years, but he got better. The rabbi said the most amazing part about the entire thing is this whole shul who witnessed this are all jumping up and down And there was this one thing they would do where they would point at the scars and then point at the Sefer Torah, saying, this is for you. This is for you. Now you need to understand something here. As the rabbi said, most of these guys could not read Hebrew. But if you were to ask me to think about what a Jew is, it's that guy. It's totally that guy. What we learned from the Maccabees on Chanukah is that if you want real Chachma, if you want to truly light up the world, and by lighting up the world, I mean lighting yourself up, making yourself a flame, making yourself an inferno, to light up all that darkness around you, thereby lighting up darkness further than around you, you need to fight and bleed for it. The Maccabees, the Chashmonayim understood this. Mi kamocha ba'elam Hashem. When I'm sleeping, it is for one reason, and that is to gain that strength to go in for that fight, but for no other reason. This is not pleasure I'm after here. If I have a distraction here, it needs to go, because I'm in the middle of a war. I'm in the middle of a fight. If I win this fight at these major developmental years of my life, if I win this fight, I am a burning light forever. If I lose this fight, it's over. That is not an exaggeration. A lot of times we think that our actions are small and insignificant. What I do is not real. It doesn't matter. There's another big rabbi, he'll take care of it. I have a guy in my class who learns amazing, he'll be the learner. You are so needed and so wrong, you have no idea. You need to create yourself at this time of your life into a fire that will burn bright. Because if you don't, our next chance is your child, and the odds are getting smaller and smaller that your kid is going to do a darn thing for the Jews. Especially if you haven't. To end with our line here, fight for our right to party. If you go to a party, right, everyone's big into their birthdays, right? You know, we have a saying with the Rebbeim that no one who comes to Israel has a birthday. They have a birth month, right? Birth week. The tzaddikim have the birth week, right? Where he has like 8 different birthday parties that happen over the course of a month, and that's his birthday. Everyone's so proud of that. What did you do for your birthday? You gave birth to you? Oh, what did you do? Everyone's so proud of themselves. I made it another year without dying. What are you doing? How are you proud of yourself? You were basically saying the one night a year that I celebrate myself is to celebrate the one time that I had nothing to do with anything. I was literally the biggest bystander in that room. Everyone else in there participated but me. I did jack diddly for it. But that is my biggest accomplishment in my life. So you know what you do? Subconsciously, you know all this. This isn't news. So you go and you get drunk, as you possibly can, and hopefully get other things done. Why? Because I need to feel good. You have to understand something. I can never feel good if it's not like this. My biggest accomplishment was nothing. Was nothing. Whereas when you see people who accomplish something and then celebrate that accomplishment, they want to be uber present. When 2 people get married and are sitting at their wedding, none of them are getting drunk. For one reason, I want to remember this and live this forever. This is the happiest day of my life. I met the person that I want to spend forever with. The reason I feel I can spend forever with her is because I've worked on myself to the place that I know I could give. I have so much to give. I'm awesome. And she's equally incredible, if not greater. I'm going to learn so much from her. I don't want to forget this. When I celebrate an accomplishment, it's going to answer your question. When I celebrate an accomplishment, I want to be ever present. So why are there times where we drink? I know? Go for it.
Because it's clever that you thought that. I probably would have asked that. But,
Moshe, that was your question right now. I was waiting for you.
What's so special? It's just 13 years of you doing nothing.
Very good question. Anyone have an answer?
It signifies something.
Start doing stuff.
No, well, okay, yeah, you could say that.
After you receive your Yitzhak.
Bar mitzvah's for your dad. He's free.
20.
No, he can. 20 is you. 6 is taking on certain things. Your dad is free of you at 13. That's not true. You misunderstood him.
Now you can start your first step on that.
Yeah, on that path to growth, but it's not your party at the end of the day. Now, when we celebrate for real, when we truly celebrate something, is when we want to be ever present in that thing. I want to show you my scars. I want to show you those battle scars that I've had. I want to show you what I've been through. I don't want to gloss it over. This isn't Instagram. I don't want to make myself look, I'm not putting myself through filters to try to look good in front of you. I want you to see the ugliest part of me because I want you to know how far I came from that. When I celebrate that, it's because I fought for it. Chanukah is about fighting for that right to party. It's fighting for one reason. Because I know that's the only way to gain that chachma that we were fighting against them for. The Greeks had chachma. They had crazy amounts of chachma. They were all about philosophy. But our chachma was dominant. Their chachma was there by way of enjoyment of chachma. Our chachma was there to change the world. To inspire the world that man is just under God. We're not animals.
You said about the Maccabees, but although I understand the idea behind it, what did we actually do, us now, today, to merit anything from the Maccabees?
So it's interesting, something we did in one of the classes that, why do we like to, I don't know how to ask the question without the lead up, and we don't have time for the lead up, so I'll just give you the answer instead. And that's why, so no. We're Jews, and Jews don't commemorate. We're not remembering a miracle that once upon a time happened. That's not what we're doing when we light the menorah. Right? We're currently living this. It's an 8 ratzon of right now. We're currently living this. What we're celebrating on Chanukah is not our accomplishments. What we're celebrating on Chanukah is not our accomplishments. What we're celebrating on Chanukah is our fight. Is me taking upon myself a fight. Is me taking upon myself that just like these days are going up, right? They're Mila b'Kedusha, they're going up in Kedusha. This is how I continue. This is me just representing how I work. I work that every single day I find a new fight. Doesn't have to be daily, right? But I'm always going from one fight to the next. I'm never stopping. That's my current fight. That's what I'm trying to do right now, is develop this current fight. That's one of the reasons why we don't necessarily have mitzvahs to party during Chanukah that much. Right? We do, but we don't have that big of a, it's not like a Seudas Purim, right? Where you have a mitzvah for a Seudah. We get together on Chanukah, but there's no specific mitzvah for it. Why? Because we're supposed to be understanding something. This is not the gold. You'll get the gold. Comes Purim time. If you did what you were supposed to do Chanukah, from Chanukah to Purim, you get your gold. You get your gold like nobody else. gold schlager. No, you get your gold like nobody else, right? It's amazing. But now what we're celebrating is that induction into the army, that induction into the fight, right? Their fight, their initial thing was winning. That's not what we're celebrating. That's a ness, and we're pursuing nisa. What are we taking upon ourselves? The way that they got up to fight, just for what was right, it wasn't to save themselves. That's what we're trying to do right now. You hear the difference there?
You said Jews don't commemorate anything we commemorate the destruction.
We mourn. That's not commemoration. We're mourning the current state that we're in because we don't have it from then.
Or it's a new order.
Is that? Yeah. Let's go, guys. Thank you very much. Let's dive in.